everybody. Welcome to Built to Scale. I am Krista, founder and CEO of Iris Partnering, and I'm here with my growth marketing manager and people and ops manager, Jen and Destiny. And today we are talking about marketing, but not just the same old conversation we talk about marketing all the time. We are actually going to talk about performance-based marketing. So, goal by the end of this webinar is, can we answer the question, what is our marketing actually responsible for driving? How often do we ask that question?
I think every day.
I think
me working in marketing every day, that's a question that I ask myself every day on every single client account.
Yep. Every single post, really.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm gonna laugh at myself. We just had a conversation about how Krista gets right. Like the second you get on and you just start thinking about all the things you say and habits you had you don't even think about until you listen to yourself. So I think what we see on a day-to-day basis, and this isn't even just in our clients' work, it's in the people we meet with, whether they work with Iris or not, is they are always putting an effort to marketing. Normally businesses say, I'm doing the work, and when they think about the work, they're saying, I'm putting out content, I'm being consistent. At least we hope they're being consistent. But for one reason or another, they don't really know what the marketing is for. They don't have goals tied to it. They don't, more often than not, they don't even really have a full strategy in place. And so that's what we're going to be leaning into today. And we've had a lot of conversations lately where we're looking at marketing, if it exists and if it doesn't exist, when we're talking to people and almost auditing them of what's missing, what's created, what's not created. And for some reason or another, I've never fully understood this, but marketing seems to be, in most most business owners' mind, the most disposable function of business. Like if funds are tight, marketing is normally the first place they drop. And honestly, not even just from a small and medium business owner perspective. You see that across corporate companies. Like, I think marketing functions are the first ones to be downsized. So today we're going to be leaning into that a little bit more and talking about how to actually trace hi Tim, how to actually trace the outcome and be able to prove that your marketing is producing the results you want for it. So Jen, you actually were just in a call recently. You've actually just started with a client recently, and they came to us and they had consistent marketing, but you did an audit, and I'm curious for you to talk about like what you found and your process of even starting when you looked at the business and what their marketing looks like currently overall.
So I have this new client, and I did a very thorough audit on them. Whenever I am with a new client, I look at their website, their front end, their back end, their socials. If they're maintaining their Google business profile, what are their marketing efforts so far? And what I saw was, and here's where I come in, where paid goes well with organic, and this client wanted to start paid ads, but I don't think they're ready for that yet. Why? Because when I go into the back end of the website, the SEO wasn't completely full. Like, it wasn't done. You had 3 keywords, and those keywords are not mentioned throughout the whole website. There's so much more to just keywords when you work on the marketing side. On the back end of the SEO, you have meta descriptions, you have photo descriptions, images descriptions. There's much more than just, I'm going to put this in keywords in everywhere in every single page, and that's it. That's going to do the job. Then I went to their social, and it was all scattered. Yeah, their posting is constant, and they're doing a great job. They have a great foundation, but there's no meaning. There's no CT
Uh-oh, did it freeze on my end?
No, I think it was Jen's end. Okay.
Oh.
There she is. Hi.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I started talking and then suddenly I am freezing. I don't know why, but where did I left? Where did I left? Coming back.
That they had great content, but no strategy involved.
There's no strategy involved. And what I was mentioning to this client is that whenever you post something, you have to have intent behind it, whether it is education, whether it is awareness, whether it is conversions. You have to have, and you always have to be, even in a subtle way, you don't have to be, oh, they don't want to, some clients, they don't want to be just selling on every post. There's ways that you can do it subtle and do like a soft push on your services, what you offer, and make people actually want to work with you. So everything needs to be a strategy and everything has to have intent behind it.
And that's what's interesting. It's like, I think, there's no shortage of content ideas when we first partner with somebody. In fact, like I've got a client that has a plethora of ideas, but it's what is the campaign and what is the strategy and what is the goal behind all of these ideas to actually produce the results. And he's dropping comments right now. Jab, 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 left hook. I'm cracking up. But ultimately, if marketing doesn't have a defined job, it can't produce defined results. It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall, and we have to have buckets of why we have posts. So to Jennifer's point, education can be one of those buckets. Thought leadership can be one of those buckets. There's a reason that we have marketing, and one of those reasons is awareness and being seen as an expert in the services that you're providing. But then we also want marketing to drive revenue behind it. So when we're looking at revenue opportunities with marketing, specifically organic marketing, we're trying to fill top of funnel leads, and we're trying to get them closer to you and in arm's reach than social media is, because you really can't control where your social media is showing up, how often it's showing up. You can post consistently, you can have a plethora of ideas, but really you want these contacts to become contacts that you can nurture, whether that's through email campaigns or get them to visit your website so you can retarget them in paid campaigns. Maybe it's a lead magnet so that okay, they're looking at my website for this reason, and now I can nurture them through an email campaign. And even what you're talking about here, when this client first came to us, she was doing all the right steps when it came to social media, but none of the posts had a reason behind them. It's throwing information out there. And if you don't know why you're putting a piece of marketing out there, then how can your customer know what you want from them? And I think there's at least from when I talk to people in consultations, there's almost this, it's like when you're talking to somebody and they're saying, shameless plug, but you should look at xyz.com. And it's like, why are we saying shameless plug? Why are we apologizing for putting marketing out there and telling the audience exactly what you want from them? Go download this lead magnet. By the way, I'm going to ask for your name and your email address because I want to stay in touch with you. If you're a business owner, you need to make smart business decisions, and that should be done unapologetically.
Correct.
Yeah.
And it's one of the main reasons that sometimes even when clients come to us, they say, I'm doing all this marketing, I'm spending all this money, and nothing is working. And that it goes to whenever you're doing a lot and they're putting a lot of money in there, that's the main reason. Whenever they are short on budget, what goes first? Marketing. And it's something that if you don't plan with a strategy and with intent, you cannot just cut off marketing completely. And that's the first mistake they do when you just have to adjust, re-strategize, and rebudget everything.
We're really talking about two separate integrated strategies here right now. And one is your marketing strategy needs to be integrated. So, when
Mhm.
you're putting us, whether it's social media, it's email marketing, it's a newsletter being created, stop trying to reinvent the wheel every time you're trying to decide what to post or what to talk about. They all should be talking about the same message and they should have the same goal. They need to work together. But you know what else should work together is your sales and operations team. So there's really two mindsets that a business owner should be looking at here. One, does your marketing have a strategy in place where everything is working towards the same end goal? And two, is your overall structure of your business working towards the same end goal? And for some business owners, that team that you're talking about, it may just be a marketing person and you yourself. That's okay. At Iris, I'm the main person that does our sales work. So in consultations, I'm the one speaking about the same thing our marketing should be speaking about. But if you have a salesperson, if you have a project manager or an executive assistant or an operations, everybody should be able to speak with the same end goal in mind. They should know what the offer is, what the value you provide is, and what the end goal is, because we're all trying to work to make sure that the business is achieving the goal at hand. And they have to work together because your marketing can fill the top of funnel lead. It absolutely cannot convert that top of funnel lead to your paid client partner, or however you define your opportunities. So my first recommendation to any business owner listening in is ask yourself the question, what is my marketing responsible for driving? And if you can't answer that question, you've just identified your first gap in your marketing because it doesn't have a strategy behind it. And in our experience, whether it's a consultation or sometimes even a client that we're working with, that's probably the hardest thing for them to wrap their head around is the time that it takes to actually develop and build a strategy that will produce results. Because at least for Iris, we do everything hourly. We don't do retainer based work. So when it takes time to produce something in order to achieve the results that you're looking for, because as a business owner, what you're coming to us and you're saying, I need more sales. That's it. You're looking at the bottom dollar, understandably.
Mhm.
Great. In order to produce more sales, we need to do exactly what Jen just talked about. How is your SEO performing? Is your Google business profile driving any traction for you? What is your social media posts? What are they about? What are you trying to get your audience to do? Do you have an email subscription list? What are you talking about that in those emails? Do you have
Mhm.
an automation running to nurture them for the reason they came to your business? And then we start to think about, which is exactly why Iris offers marketing and operations. What is your sales process? What is your follow-up process? How do you talk to them in consultations or demonstrations that these people are coming into? Even from, Tim is in here chatting. I love that he wrote CTA, just hire Iris partnering. But he attends conferences. So when we go to those conferences, we're looking at a playbook and saying, this is our offer during this conference. This is our goal in this conference. And after the conference, here are the steps we're going to take on both the
Mhm.
marketing and sales side. They need to work together to achieve the end result of money, revenue in the business's pocket to keep the engine moving forward. See, no shameless plug, just a plug.
Oh, Tim, you're the best. Oh my gosh, I love it. But that's a big thing I think about too, is like, obviously me being on the operation side of things is like, okay, we're getting leads in, right? Say we've worked on this strategy and done all that, we're getting leads in. Okay, now what's the plan? So like if you have no strategy behind it, then you're just kind of sitting there thinking, okay, now we have leads coming, now what? Where this should have already been started when this was all from the beginning, and making sure, okay, is the CRM up to date to add the leads, to do follow-ups, to do everything. I mean, and I do think, like you said, Krista, they have to go hand in hand, because if they are not communicating and not on that same wavelength, you're you're going in a different direction that you probably did not mean to go in, and
Yeah.
then you're backtracking and then spending more money because you didn't have that in place to begin with.
Yeah, Destiny and I actually just had a meeting with a friend. It wasn't even a consultation. We were catching up with a friend and she was helping us with some stuff at Iris that's really more forecasting based. And
Mhm.
she was telling us about how the company she works for, they don't do marketing and she's a sales executive for them. And she actually started talking to us about, I might need somebody on your team to help me with my personal LinkedIn because I need to be marketing in order for people to see that this is what I'm offering and this is what I do,
Mhm.
even if it's for a company that I work for. And that's a great question that I would ask most business owners too. If you have a team under you, how are they helping promote? Do they know how to promote the services that they offer with you? Do they know how to talk about it? A lot of sales team members are really good at talking in a meeting like this, whether it's virtual or in
Mhm.
person. They know how to sell for a reason, and they're comfortable with it. But your team should also know how to market the business overall, because ultimately all of us have the same goal no matter what function of business you're in, and that's for the business to continue growing and to succeed as a team. um, so I think the first thing that I see business owners do, even when they're asking themselves, what is my marketing doing and where are my gaps here? Their natural inclination is to say, let's just market more. Let's put more content out. Let's hit more platforms. I don't want to cross post on platforms, so I'm going to do a different strategy for my personal LinkedIn, my business LinkedIn, my Instagram, my Facebook, my TikTok. Here. I'm going to go ahead and tell you now, you're going to get burnt out doing that because you can't. I mean, there's so many different platforms that you can market on today. It's almost exhausting because back when, I mean, even 10 years ago, we weren't talking about so many different social media platforms like Threads and X and TikTok. We were really still looking at print opportunities, going door to door, yard signs, door hangers, business cards, and all of that's kind of gone by the wayside. And we're looking at heavy digital marketing today. And so, one audit I would suggest a business owner does after you're looking at what is my marketing achieving, it's where can I achieve it? So, my next question to you would be, where is your client? Where is your sale opportunity? If they are not Gen Zers, they're probably not on TikTok. Like most of the younger audience is going to be on TikTok. If you're selling B2B, you should be going to LinkedIn and Facebook. Um, X is a tough platform. It's finicky because it's short form thoughts. You're limited on how many characters, you use. So the answer isn't more content and more platforms. It's strategy behind what platforms and what content you're putting out there.
Yeah, and a lot of
Mhm.
times when business owners tend to say, "Oh no, I want a different strategy for this platform. I want a different strategy for paid. I want a different strategy for organic. I want," it tends to become a disconnect between all of them. And marketing is supposed to be cohesive. It's supposed to be like an orchestra. Everything complements each other. Every single note of the whole concert should complement each other. And that is something that most business owners don't realize sometimes, or they realize it too late after they invested so much money and time into it.
Hmm. Yeah. So,
Mhm.
step one, what is your content's goal? Why are you organically marketing? Step two, I'm going to ask a business owner to do the hardest thing because we hate doing it. Pause and map out what already exists and identify any overlap or duplication or, frankly, efforts that aren't necessary and won't produce to your goals. The answer is not pushing out more content and moving faster. Frankly, you'll confuse your audience. So sit down and actually take the time to put strategy behind it. And if you don't have the time, which most don't. That's why marketing, it goes ebbs and flows. Like normally when we're looking at a consultation, they put out 5 posts in a day and then they haven't post for 3 months and then another 10 posts in a day. And it's because it's not strategized. There's no plan behind it of execution. There's no goal behind it. There's no outcome that you are owning and driving towards. And I can already hear business owners say to me, yeah, but that day I followed my strategy and plan and I got no likes on it and my reach was really low. Not every post is meant to be a viral post. Not every email is meant to have a 60% open rate. You likely have multiple different audiences that you sell to, and it's going to affect each audience in a different way. That's exactly why there's a strategy and a campaign behind it. So all the pieces work together to hit your audience in a different way, in a different platform, but all moving towards the same goal.
That's right.
Yep.
I completely agree.
So we wanted to even talk about this topic because what's the number one ask that we get in May?
I need to start paid ads.
Paid ads. Yes, paid ads.
I need to start paid ads ASAP.
Can we start paid ads tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah. It is. Oh my gosh. I can't tell you. And it's interesting because it's come early this year. But normally May, we have a plethora of consultations and the consultations are coming to us and saying, summer is the slow season. And so I need to do paid ads to compensate for it. Most people probably don't like what I have to say in a consultation, which is your paid ads is not going to fix the problem. Especially if you're in the situation that we're talking about. And normally, again, this is just our experience of when we're talking to business owners. Your organic marketing is not in a place to support paid marketing. And then, as wise business owners do, they have a budget for how much they want to put towards marketing, and they have a budget towards an executive. You budget things to make sure your business can survive and doesn't live in the red. If you're coming to us, like, let's just throw a random number out there and say, I can afford 10 hours a week of a marketing consultant. Wonderful. In 10 hours per week, we cannot, in 2 to 3 weeks, make sure all of your organic marketing is set up to support a paid ad. So it takes time over effort. And that's why we wanted to be sure to talk about this today, because right now, when you least expect it, is the time you should be auditing your organic marketing and saying, do I have a goal behind it? Do I have a strategy behind it? Am I consistently executing on it? Am I analyzing how it's working together before you're ready to launch a paid ad? So paid ads, sorry to say, not the fix to the revenue problem in your slow season.
No, and I think adding to that is it's not 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, not even, I wouldn't say not even 60 days sometimes for you to see a big consistency on your organic marketing. And I would say when you start with your organic marketing, you don't want to see, most owners wants to see a spike in engagement and, oh my God, I am growing. No, I don't want to see a big spike in engagement and then a drop, because I want to see slow growth, but consistent growth. That's what I want to see. When I see that in your organic side, then I'm going to tell you, okay, I think we're ready to start paid ads. And it's not, I'm not going to tell you, oh, then use a big budget. Oh, I want to spend $1,000. No, paid ads, you start it slowly with small budgets. Why? Because you need to find what it's working with your audience. Once you find what it's working, you still are going to increment slowly, because if you put a punch of a large budget into it and it breaks, then you lose all the money that you invested, because it's going to break. It's too much. That means for high budget, that ad doesn't work. So we have to start over again. That's why you increment it slowly. That way you don't waste money on
Yeah.
your budget.
So normally for us, like we do a phased approach. When somebody comes to us, more often than not, it's I want to do paid ads. I don't know how to do it. I want you guys to do it for me. Great. Jen and I have both said the really hard truth to business owners, which is you're not ready for it and we won't execute on it because we're putting your real dollars towards a digital asset that won't produce results for you yet. We're not saying it never will. It just you're
Mm-hmm.
not ready to do it yet. So we take a phased approach to make sure that even as we're fixing or strategizing or really creating and implementing an organic strategy, you're not putting, I'm sorry, but I'm going to call out, frankly, other agencies that charge like $3,000 to $4,000 to do this. Like that's not necessary for business owners, especially at the business owner scales that we typically work with. Um, Instead, we would recommend a phased approach. Make sure the engine is operating and then build on it.
Yep.
Phase one is SEO and your website. Is your website designed so the user can easily move through it? You can map them going from landing page to converting to either an email subscriber or contacting you, right? So, I mean, those are going to be the first two steps you want from a website visitor. Step two or phase two is the Google business side of this. Can they find you easily? Your Google business and your Google Analytics and your Google meta tags should all be connected back to your website to make sure that the threads are weaved together. Jen can talk about that portion far more eloquently than I can. Not my expertise. And then, for some businesses, when it makes sense, before we start even looking at organic, because you don't want to market something that's not ready to be marketed, we look at lead magnets. Do they exist and should they exist? And if you have a lead magnet, what's the funnel they go through? What's the end goal? Because they're going to download something and then something should happen after that download. Even if it's a simple thank you note and then a quick, 3 email drip campaign that comes out once a week for 3 weeks. Maybe it's longer, but continuing to point them back in the direction because they've gotten value from you and your business and your skill sets and experience by getting that lead magnet from you. There's a reason they needed it. And if they needed that, most lead magnets mean they need the service or the product that you offer.
Yeah, and I would say also, don't think of this as this is just for a small business owner because we cannot afford big marketing, big paid ads. No, if you look at big companies, that's what they have, and that's their marketing most efficient tool. It's their lead magnets and how they nurture their customer. From the point you visit and they say, okay, you're getting this discount code if you subscribe to our email list, and you keep receiving those emails. My colleagues can know that I have 1,500 messages that I haven't read because most of them are from literally these businesses that keep texting me saying, hey, this came out new. Hey, you forgot something here. Come back.
Yeah.
So this is the most efficient way, if you use it the right way, to grow your client list.
My eye is twitching just thinking about your home screen right now. No, but true. I mean, true. Like, okay, another, like my colleagues know that I shop Loft. Like, Loft is my favorite place to shop. And you know what? Loft gets me every time they have a new email. And it's like, it might just be that they really didn't have a new arrival, but by golly, they're going to target me with how they outfitted that new arrival, or whether it's a sale or they have a celebrity involved in their Instagram or a giveaway. But you get emailed from retailers in particular daily, and there's a reason behind that. In contrast, I have abcmouse.com subscription for my daughter to use on her pad. ABC Mouse does not email me once a day, but they do once a week. And it might be a new feature that they have, a new release that they have, if your child hasn't used it in X amount of days. So even if you are a service, the service is reminding you that they have value to provide to you. So the cadence of your outreach to your audience really depends on your offer. But ultimately, what we're saying here is they all have a strategy in place, and there's an end goal to those emails that you're receiving in your inbox. And it's a consistent reminder that, hey, there's money to be spent, and we want you to spend it with us. Just like Tim wrote in the comments, it's not a shameless plug, it's a plug. And as a business owner, we need to get over this idea of, I don't want to spam people, I don't want to oversell to them. In terms of marketing, that's why it exists. Frankly, most people don't care about what you ate for breakfast or what vacation you took as a business owner. They're really not looking for that. They're coming to you as a business owner or as a business because you have value to provide to them. And they are your ICP, your ideal client profile. And that's really what you've got to niche down in. And unforgivable, don't, what's the word I'm trying to come up with here? Unashamedly say that, speak it, and put it out into the world. It's okay if every post doesn't get 15 likes, 5 likes, or a reach of, over 10,000. That's not the ultimate goal here. The ultimate goal is awareness and conversion.
Yeah. And that awareness, it might be, you send all those emails, all those posts, and you say, I'm not getting anything. It might be that your type of customer is not ready at that time. But if you keep nurturing that relationship, at some point they're going to be ready and they're going to fall for it and they're going to contact you and they're going to call you and get your services. That's why I have over 24 pair of glasses from Senny.com, and they're not paying me to pay advertising.
Do you really?
That's why I get different glasses on every single meeting.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. I didn't know that about you.
I've been a client for them for like the past 4 years. So I didn't bought them all at the same time. It's been over time when I see a text, an email, and they text me every single day and they email me every single day.
Yeah, a great company, a company that does, great work on their marketing. It's Olive and June. I'm notorious for buying from them too. That's a nail polish company, and whether it's a new release or again a new design they text, they email. They don't do it at the same time, and they have a beautiful social media strategy. So, if you're hearing this and you're wondering, okay, but how do I even begin? I'll tell you a great beginning point. Start to take notice of the brands you love or even your competitors. Do a competitor analysis, sign up for their text messages, sign up for their emails, see what they're saying, what they're marketing. And I'm not saying copy and paste them, because the best thing you can do is differentiate yourself from them to stand out from the crowd and be the reason that people want to come to you instead of your competitor. But there's a reason that companies do this so well, and it's their strategy behind it. And just like a reminder to all business owners, because I learned this in every single sales job I had, takes 10 to 12 touch points normally to convert into a sale. So if your sales team, who is actively picking up the phone and dialing or sending one-on-one text messages or having the consultations, if it takes approximately 10 to 12 touches for them to make a sale, how many do you think it takes for a marketing message to reach? So again, you're saying, I don't want to be too salesy. I don't want to promote too hard. I don't want to come off like all I want is sales in my marketing. Why? That's the ultimate question. Why? Why are you ashamed of that? Because you're trying to run something, you're trying to create something, and that should be something that produces revenue. That's a smart business decision.
You provide services that other people need. Own it.
Yeah.
Completely own it. And it doesn't have to be pushy or every single post, but there's subtle ways that you can market yourself without sounding salesy.
Yeah, and I mean, I hate to say this in a way that's so brash, but if you don't like sounding salesy, it's whatever, for whatever reason it's uncomfortable for you or it's cringy for lack of better words, that's exactly why you hire out. I've said this in past webinars we've done, and I'll say it again. Most business owners didn't go into business so they could be calendar managers, so they can have 100 emails in their inbox a day, so they can do the marketing strategy and marketing work. You either created a product or a service or a software that other people need. There's a reason that it exists in the world, and you didn't create that to run every function of your business. So if you're not good at it or you're uncomfortable at it, don't be ashamed to hire it out. Let another person own that for you. And that really brings us to the operational layer of marketing, which is who owns the marketing decisions and who owns the execution behind it. You should have a very clear process for how something goes from an idea to published. So it can be that you brain dump to a marketing person. It also could be that maybe you use AI. I'm just going to go ahead and put my own 2 cents in there that if you use AI, make sure you have human oversight over it, so you don't sound like every other person that uses AI. But your ideas need to be pushed into a strategy, your strategy is built into a campaign, which then produces results. And then you should be able to analyze those results every single month. If something didn't work, you'll know it. And if something did work, you will know it. Most business owners don't have the time to actually sit there and look at the numbers and see what story the numbers are telling, because they are telling you a story, as long as you know what to look for in them.
Yeah. And I would say that's one of the oversights that people say, oh, I'm not getting any leads. It's not just about the leads. Look at the back end of your website. Look at the analytics. Look what they're telling you. They are telling you a whole story if you look closely and you know where to look. So if that it is that what you need, I would say always this. Because of the back end of a website and your analytics, that's your decision making to make your strategy, not the other way around. Your decision making needs to be backed up by data. If there's no data to back it up, why are you making, just because you don't see anybody buying your services right now? No, you need to look at the data.
Yeah. I'm also going to call out a pain point that is very real that we experience with clients and non-clients, of having so many content ideas that they don't allow the strategy to live. Like, your strategy changes day over day and week over week because a new idea has appeared, or somebody has framed something differently, or a new keyword has evolved. That's wonderful. What I would recommend you do is say, let's create a campaign around this new information or this new data or this new approach. So you can actually say, did it produce results? Did it help people understand my offer? If you are changing every single post to have a different approach and a different verbiage of how you speak about your offer, you're going to confuse people more. It's not shedding light on your offer to change it every single day. It's actually confusing people. And I think the hardest part for business owners is to be patient with marketing. I know everybody hates the big A word, the algorithm word, but normally when I shift an approach in marketing, because I don't execute on it. I don't enjoy executing on it, but I do manage some marketing for our clients. And when when we have to shift the strategy or the approach that we're doing, I normally go ahead and prep them. This won't produce results in month one. You actually might see a decline in your analytics and results because we're changing what we're saying and how we're saying it.
Yeah.
Month two is where you're probably going to see some really good green. And in my experience, that's always been true. Um, because the algorithm will learn, okay, we're going to move to all reels on Instagram. They've stopped doing carousels. Oh, now they're doing more stories, which means the people that look at stories, the audience that has the behavior of checking stories on a daily basis, we want to show this account to them now. And before, you might not have been utilizing the stories feature. And that's what you're ultimately trying to define if you shift a strategy is my audience there and will it convert?
Yeah. And a word of advice for every single owner out there. Not every trend that you see on social media applies to your business.
Oh, preach.
Oh, yes,
Not every trend. And I know
for
you
real.
they want to jump into the trend train and be viral with everybody but not every trend is for your business. Not at all.
No. Iris is even at fault for this. We did it for a short while. You know,
Mhm.
when we were first really like looking at like if we audit Iris in our marketing, we first started on really Instagram and Facebook. And so it was like, how can we stand out? How can we be trendy? We were doing the dances, we were doing the pointing videos, we were doing the B-roll of me folding laundry. And it, you know what, it didn't feel real. First of all, I
Yeah.
was like, this, I hate getting in front of the camera. I don't want to do it. And that shows in your reel. If you don't enjoy doing it, or if you're not a good public speaker, then it shows and people feel awkward watching it. So they're not going to stay tuned to why you put that post out in the first place. What has and again, this is just Iris, it's different for every business, but what has worked really well for us is, you know, we've got things to say when it comes to operations and marketing and the pain points that business owners feel and what can alleviate some of those pain points. So it's really more value-based posts now. And because I don't like getting in front of the camera on a weekly basis and recording something, we have annual brand photos taken and we have videography taken during those. And now nobody has to step in front of the camera because we're using that investment for an entire year. So, hint to most business owners, like my personal suggestion is invest I'm going to say $700 to $1,000 to get once a year some really great photography and videography that you can use. It will feel more authentic to you to use that and easier
Yeah.
to execute your marketing than it is for you to psych yourself up to create some video or remember to take pictures of what project you worked on that day, or what feedback you got. You know, I mean, that's it's hard when you're creating week by week. You really can't develop a content calendar. So having a plan in place will also help you strategize what content is needed or maybe not needed if you're able to work around that.
Yeah, it's very stressful when we come with a client that we are constantly telling them, you know, we're out of content. And yes, we can reuse some of the content, but people get tired of
Oh,
that. Algorithm get tired of the same picture and same video that we upload.
yeah.
So I will usually what I tell people is the algorithm, they love when you refresh stuff and revamp stuff. They love the new stuff. And it doesn't mean only the front end, the back end too. Whenever you refresh the back end of a website, suddenly you see a spike in visitors. And it's not because, oh, it's going to stay there. It will come down, but that means that Google or whatever other search platform is searching your site again. It's crawling it again because algorithm loves new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mm.
that's why, I mean, I feel like, and maybe it's not, sometimes when we talk about organic marketing, whether it's in consultations or it's in webinars like this, I kind of feel like I'm spitting out information I've said repeatedly, and it's important information that needs to become part of the natural process that you are executing your marketing in. So, I mean, step by step, what I would recommend business owners be doing right now, not in May. Please don't wait till May, because unless you are, a renovations company, a landscaping company, irrigation, any kind of outdoor work or home work, those tend to peak up in the summer season. Like that's their busy season. For most other businesses, you will see a drop between May through August, and then normally your peak or your either flat or peak months are going to be between September and April, because people are in their houses and they're working more, and they're not distracted by all the DIY projects they have to do, or they're not taking as many vacations. Their kids are in school and not bothering them. There's a plethora of reasons behind this. But I'm telling you, as a business owner, you can't wait for May and then shove paid ads at it. You should be asking yourself a few very important questions right now. And that is, what is my marketing responsible for driving? If you don't know it, you have your first gap right now. You need to go ahead and define what the goal of your marketing is. And then every post or every email or every step in your website should be moving towards that goal, helping the user move through your marketing to get to the end goal here. Step 2 is go ahead and audit what you have been doing. If you haven't looked at your analytics since the end of 2025, go look at them. Go look at them and see what's working and see what's not working. You will probably notice a trend in either your caption style or your reel style or your carousel style, or like Jen said, keywords have likely changed on your Google business profile or your back end SEO. Your competitors who are looking at this regularly, they are spending time every week on optimizing the keywords on the back end and front end of their website and in their Google business profile, which helps make sure that they are staying in the top 10 of relative searches. And so if you're not doing that within 3 to 4 weeks, you're outdated at that point.
Yeah.
Being aware of what your users are trying to tell you through the marketing efforts that you're doing. And then step 3 that I would recommend all business owners take, I don't care if you do it in a spreadsheet, I don't care if you do it in a platform, but you need to have a strategy behind everything that you do. So let your marketing work together. There's a reason it all exists, and it's not to throw spaghetti at the wall. You should be saying the same thing in maybe minutely different ways, but people should be able to understand very clearly what you're putting out there as an offer by scanning your page. And Jen makes really great points when we're in consultations, because this has happened to us too, where somebody wants to come to us because they want to do paid ads, but they haven't posted something in 8 months. That's a problem. You know, we need to have consistency, and the best way to have consistency is a plan behind it. So if you plan it and you put it as a task list for yourself or a playbook for yourself. I just did this for myself at Iris. I was like, what's my personal approach to our marketing on top of what the company's marketing is doing? And I create, like, this is what I have to do. These are my responsibilities as the business owner, week over week over week. And that should help move the needle for you. Only when these steps are in place and you know who owns it will you start to have a story behind your marketing. And the second you let it drop, your story stops and you have to restart it again.
Yeah.
Yep. There needs to be consistency. And sometimes consistency, it's what it's lost, and it's because there's no patient. And those two go hand in hand when you're working with marketing. Patient and consistency.
Mm-hmm. What will really help you is when you self-assess your marketing, You should be able to say, whether it's through the information your team provides you or you looking at the data, you should be able to explain what's driving results because you know what the goal is of each effort of marketing going out. You should be able to say what a successful campaign looks like or what a unsuccessful campaign looks like. You might try a campaign that just didn't work, and that's okay. You learn something from it. And you should not feel like you are constantly starting over every single time you create a post or every single time you write an email. They really should naturally create themselves based on what's happening in your business, in your industry, with competitors, what your goals are, what your sales team efforts are, or your personal efforts are for the business. Marketing should write itself if you're not trying to fit into a mold of what you expect marketing to look like and what your business is actually trying to achieve.
True. That's true. And I hope every single one that has been listening in or that listens to us knows that it is okay to just stop and look at everything you have going on your marketing side and operation side, making sure everything is cohesive before continuing. It doesn't mean that you're going to fall behind.
No.
Nope.
Slow down to speed up.
Yep.
Really.
Yeah.
Okay, so all of this was a preparation webinar, if you will, because like we said, people come to us in May wanting paid ads to fix it, whatever it is for you. I'm not getting leads in, I'm not generating revenue, my business has been too flat this summer. And so right now is the time to fix and audit your integrated approach from an organic standpoint. And in our May webinar, we will be specifically talking about paid marketing. Once your organic output and efforts are integrated and they are performing for you, that's the time you're ready for paid marketing. And paid marketing works as one unit to your entire strategy. So it should be doing exactly what we've been talking about today, which is getting to the end goal that your organic marketing is working towards as well. As Jen likes to put it, they're salt and pepper and they're married. Paid and organic.
The married couple, and you have to nurture each other so you can last a long, long time.
Yes. And before we sign off here, I want to call out, like, every business owner is guilty of this, myself included. In fact, like, we launched our new website and I was like, Jen, are we ready for paid? And she was like, no, we're not. And we're not doing it yet. And I was like, okay, got it. So, every business owner, what you should care about is your bottom dollar, your bottom line, and how your business is growing and doing it effectively and efficiently. So we're not faulting you for having this mindset, but really, ultimately, the goal for you is to be able to lead a team or a person that is executing this for you, and you know how to manage them because you know what good looks like and what it should produce, what realistically it should produce for you. So if you are in the same boat as us and interested in launching paid ads, then start today looking at your organic marketing based on everything we've talked about, and come back in May and we will be talking about paid marketing and how to fit it into the strategy.
And if you don't have time to look at that, just give us a call. We'll be happy to do that for you.
And make sure your operations person is in there.
Oh my gosh. Don't have an ops person? Don't worry, we have that too.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in today, everybody. We look forward to chatting with you next time.